Is that 2 Chainz?
Mm-hmm. Legend.
It's awesome.
I've been on the winning streak. I made that pick all the beats.
Let's just lean into it.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Yeah,
this is cool. You still barely even know me that much, but I appreciate your willingness to do this.
Hell yeah.
I'll just give a brief on how I know you.
Yeah.
I walked into this store maybe a year and 6 months ago.
Okay.
With the intention of buying a shirt, just like introducing myself and getting to know like, the one skate shop in Carmel, Indiana. What's that about?
Yeah.
And from the outside, it looks awesome. It's like a shoebox. I just drive by it all the time. It's pretty unassuming.
Yeah.
But coming in here, you feel like you're transported.
Yeah.
You mentioned it's like old world. It's a totally different scene, and I love that.
Thanks.
And I love someone doing something completely different from what Carmel, Indiana is.
That's what we need.
Thus, Aaron Vaughn. Nice to meet you.
My dude.
Yeah.
Pleasure, for sure. No, I'm hyped you came in, and like I kind of told you, there's so many different walks of life that come through here. So everyone has a different story, and it's cool to just like be on the other side of the counter and like witness it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I appreciate you taking the time and wanting to do this interview. So
Absolutely.
I'm hyped.
Are you from LA?
No, from here, from Lawrence.
Gotcha.
Inner city kid. Pretty much from Lawrence. It's like, I don't know if you know where Carriage House East, that's like 20th and like Post area. So
Not
like
too familiar.
deep east side.
Gotcha.
But then, you know, as my family, you know, we kind of came up a little bit. You know, we moved up to Castleton, and then we ended up in Geist. And then by the time I was a junior in high school, my mom and I had kind of moved back to like Central Lawrence, and yeah, that's pretty much that's what I claim.
Nice.
Know? But lived in Chicago.
Same.
Did you?
Yeah.
What year?
I lived there a year ago for 9 months.
Sick.
I'm not going to name the company, but I worked there for 9 months, and I lived through a winter.
Sick.
And experienced what wind does to a body in the middle of Chicago.
Sucks,
when it's
dude.
negative 20.
Oh.
But yeah, keep talking about that. Chicago, and then
Yeah. Chicago was like 2014, 2013, 2014. So I got my first sponsor when I was 17. And so I did really bad in high school. I was not, you know, a scholar by any means.
Sure.
And so I really, really wanted to push my skating because I really leaned into that.
Yeah.
And I ran track at that same time. So as I got these sponsors, I was like, well, I need to be like in the next closest city, you know, to make things happen, different change of scenery, the spots, the people, the networking.
Yeah.
And so I was back and forth in Chicago a bunch, 2013, 2014. Couldn't do a winter. I was like, nah, so I would always come back for the winter here, not that it's any better. And then, that
it just feels better in a way somehow.
Oh, it's way better. We call it the South.
Yeah.
You know, the South. But then, 2015, moved out to LA.
Cool.
And, dude, that was the best time. It grew me in so many different ways.
That's huge.
My best friend lives out there. And, I was out there for back and forth a lot for a couple years. Like 2015 to 2018, I was pretty much out there more than I was here.
Nice.
But yeah, man, came back home and wanted to get into skateboarding a different way.
That's awesome. How did it grow you the most while you were out there?
A sense of independence. Because like being here, you know what I mean, mom's still nearby.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So really, really growing yourself and getting out of your comfort zone was very important to me. So just finding a sense of independence there was really, really big for me. Just like a different part of the world.
Yeah.
Like a different part of the country.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And it was beautiful weather out there all the time. I've had free will to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
I was one of 5 people in a 1-bedroom. So that was gnarly. And expensive ass LA, and then I lived out of my car sometimes.
Dude, you're crawling over each other in that place.
Yeah,
that's wild.
It was gnarly. It was me, my best friend, and his family. So it was crazy. It wasn't like a crazy skate house or anything.
Yeah.
It was just like me and my family. They're like my
You
second
probably
family.
learned how to respect people in that way.
100%. Boundaries,
Yeah.
there was no privacy ever. And that was another thing for me. I am a very outward person, you know, but like when I want to have my time for me, you know, I need that to be able to shut off. And so I didn't really have that. And that was one of the main factors driving me to come back home.
That makes
and do
sense.
my own thing. So
That's cool.
yeah.
So how long ago did you get back here and start the shop?
So I came
Those
back.
are two very different times, right?
Yeah. That was about a 4-year difference from 2015 to 2019 is when we started the shop.
Gotcha.
But I managed the shop it was a Rise Skateboard shop. It's childhood.
That's where I got my first skateboard.
Really? How old were you?
Maybe 9. It was like a
Sure,
checkered skateboard. I don't remember the brand, but
Pal
Yeah.
Peralta. So yeah, they always did the check.
I got this scar on it. Just ripped open my elbow. I was with my buddy John that I mentioned earlier at that time, but I was laughing, not crying.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
And you're a kid. Man.
Yeah.
And it's so cool too that you say that. Full circle. It's funny that we're here now.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was at Dillon Park up on 146 in Hazelton.
That's where I started too.
Really?
I grew up over there. Yeah.
That's so sick because there was a kid there. He had to have been all of 12.
Yeah.
And he was like kind of timid to talk to me and stuff. And I just pretty much was like open arms, just talking to him. And he ended up filming me and we kind of linked and we talked. He's like, dude, I just always my first force there. And like, he was just it brings me back being out in the wild, out in the field, and seeing the young kids, man. And they're so hyped on skating because, dude, I've been doing it for 20 years now.
That's so cool.
It's just different.
You get such a joy from giving back, it seems like.
Oh, that's my biggest thing, dude. Like, I think the future is everything. I mean, we don't have this if we don't have the future. It's cool having my peers come in and we chop it up and talk about skating and the new current trends of things. But like, dude, these kids coming here, that's what keeps me grounded personally and wanting to continue to do this. So, but yeah, back to the shop thing. We started the shop in 2019. I managed the shop for about a year and a half, from 2017 to 2019. And then when I went off on my own to do this, I had 2 business partners. One was like my mentor, and he pretty much helped guide me through everything there of like how to navigate, how to talk to people. I'd never written a check before that. I wrote my first check for, just like the little things.
So you're no stranger to mentors, and it makes sense why you want to become one.
Yeah, I mean,
that's huge.
That's everything, dude. I mean, I don't care how well knowledgeable you are in any field, always having a mentor is the biggest thing. And my mentor that was there then, he's still kind of my mentor. We've parted ways in a lot of different ways, but he always still tells me every time we talk, he's like, yo, I'm 50 something, I still have a mentor. And my mentor's in their 60s and 70s. I'm like, so you never stop learning.
That's awesome.
It's the biggest thing to take.
I think that's the most important part of life, and why it's an aspect I think so many people forget and abandon nowadays, which leads to depression. I mean, we don't need to go there in this conversation, but like being devoid of passion, being devoid of, a stepladder, knowing where to get your answers from, I feel like that just leads to a lot of loss.
Yes,
so
it does, dude. And I mean, you don't have to necessarily find your purpose so early. I feel like that's like pressure, societal pressure.
Absolutely.
Dude, because I didn't really know what I wanted to do up until 26, 27. And even then, I'm in it now at 32, and sometimes I take a look around and I'm like, what the hell am I doing, dude? Like, and, I question myself. I've gone through all the emotions of like, am I still driven to want and fired up to want to do this, but you just got to go with it. Lean into it.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before this interview. Lean into it. I think that's huge.
Leaning into it. 100%.
That's really cool.
That's
Huge compliment I have for you. You already touched on like the joy you get from teaching people. I was scrolling on your Insta to prepare for this. I saw a video of you holding a skater's hands and helping them down a ramp. And I think that is one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time, especially as a man in today's world. Like, could you please talk about how you've given back to this specific Indianapolis community?
Dude, and it's not just me. I want to say first, like it's definitely a collective of like my past employees that have been around and helped work with me, and just like a little bit of everybody. But for me, like I said, the future is everything. So we've partnered up with Aspire House Indy, and they're over on the west side. They're off of I think 24th or 23rd in MLK.
Yeah.
And we just want to give back to the underserved communities and the kids that just to introduce them to skating, because skating saved me. So like I want to be able to give that back to the kids, and whether they stick with it or not is one thing, but like I hope that me helping that kid go down that ramp sticks with them forever. And so we've done a lot of partnership with them, and then we call them like skate clinics. So we do skate clinics. We're about to start that up here in the summertime. That's once a week, and the kids seem hyped, and it seems like it was a pretty good turnout last year. So
that's
we're
awesome.
hoping to ramp that up a little bit more. We do events. So Lawrence Skate Park, that was a skate park that was built 2009, 2010. So that was like, I was still in high school at that point, and definitely getting into that and doing events there. Yeah. That's huge. We've done a couple there. So we've done events around. We have to do scavenger hunts and stuff like that around the city. Just
is everyone like on their boards doing the scavenger hunt?
I don't. It seems like the young kids are, but like the kids that got cars now, the high schoolers and stuff. You know, they're like, oh, I'm going to the like. We drop a set of wheels or a board off at the park. They're there in like 5 minutes. You know, that's funny. So just like trying to engage with the community. And then another thing is like right before you got here, I'd sold a complete to a younger gentleman, and we have the, you know, on Instagram you have the highlights. Yeah. And we have like a first timers highlight. And every single time somebody comes in for their first complete, take a photo of them, post it, tag them if we can, if we find their tag, if they have social media.
That's awesome.
Stuff like that. So yeah. Man.
Elevating. That's sweet.
It's in the detail, dude. Yeah. I'm a super detailed person, so I'm like, dude, I wish I would have had this growing up. So if there's any way I can use the platform that we've created to help another younger dude be inspired or a young lady be inspired. Yeah.
That's why I created this. I'm so ADHD that I want to create a channel that'll show every job so that someone like me 10 years ago would have had that exposure and seen what's out there. Because for me 10 years ago, it was, am I going to do marketing or am I going to do engineering?
Of course. Yeah. And the world is so much bigger and vast, and there's so much, and you don't have to go into just one thing. Yeah. And that's what I'm learning right now. I'm like, I don't have to define myself as like an entrepreneur or a businessman. I'm like, I do other things, man. Yeah. Like, I don't have to do this forever.
You're an artist.
Yeah, dude. I just want to do it all. Yeah. Yeah, and likewise.
That's the best.
Like, yeah, for sure.
So you talked about the community. I got an interesting question for you regarding it. How would you want to see Indiana's skate community grow 10 years from now?
That's a really good question.
Thanks.
I think the sense of community could be greater here. Mm-hmm. A sense of unity could be greater here. I think Indiana comes from a very, what's the word I'm looking for, like scarce and kind of gatekeepy background. And I was never, like, dude, my family's from the country, like humble beginnings, and like for my mom and everything. And so like she always raised me like, you put your pants on the same way as CEO and the maintenance man do. So like include everybody in. And so I think that's something that, not that we lack, that's not the word I'm looking for. It's something that could be elevated. Yeah. You know, something that could be elevated more, I think, is a sense of community here.
I completely agree.
So, and you know, that'll turn into bigger events and the industry giving Indianapolis more attention as far as the skate community and everything goes. So, I mean, it all goes hand in hand.
My buddy Wyatt, who I talked to this morning, he's like a pretty big YouTuber. He's got like 20K followers. He does it all on The Bachelor and content on that, which is cool. Totally different thing to what we're talking about right now.
That's insane.
But he also has this dream for Indiana's community to destigmatize it. He feels like it shouldn't be viewed as this like, oh, that's cute when you're doing something so creative, but instead like necessary. And I completely agree with you. I feel like people that pass the shop, they think, oh, it's cute. But
skateboard shop.
Exactly. Yeah. And I want it to be like, oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
I see what he's doing and I want a part in that. I want to grow that. And that's why I'm making a video with you, because I think I want you to know that like someone else that you barely know sees what you're doing.
And that's amazing, dude. And I feel like we need more of you. Yeah. And of course, you don't live here.
Well, the process of making these videos has been like starting to pull me back home. I won't even lie.
I mean, dude, that's the thing. And it's amazing that you see what you were just talking about, because we do need more people fired up and passionate about what they do, and then are genuinely interested in what somebody else is trying to do to grow the community in any sort of way. Yeah. That's so critical. And everyone kind of downplays everything here. And it's really weird to me, because I've always just been so fired up. I was always like the little homie that would gas up my friends if they were good at something or good at skating, you know? And there's not enough of that. And so like, so glad that we have this space to gas these little homies up coming through. Like, you could be great one day. You're already great. So just continue on that path. I mean, and leading into the second thing, Indianapolis is, I call it the empty canvas. and so there's not enough going on. So you got to know somebody to like get in.
Yeah.
We're like one of those cities where it's like, dude, no, somebody should be able to come here and stumble across one of our Instagrams or YouTube channels or something like that and be like, oh, this dude's here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Like, this is fire that he's doing this. Like, let me
A topic unrelated to what they do, and still be able to uplift and endorse them. It's like, oh, I know 17 homies over here that will all agree with what.
100%.
Let's all introduce each other.
100%.
That's what this is.
It literally is, and it's like, dude, I want to connect you with like my other homies in like Fountain Square and stuff like that, because like this all connects. It's all connected, and so yeah, I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm trying to build a network. I think this is a good time to plug the name of my channel.
Yes.
It's called The Real World Exit. The Real World Exit. Yeah. I talked about how marketing and engineering, those were like the only two options I had. My whole life people have told me like, when are you going to join the real world? So
Always, yes.
yeah.
Of course. Yes.
So this isn't anti-corporate. It's more so highlighting people in our communities, all the way from Indiana to Florida and everywhere in between, that are walking the walk, that are creative, that have the spark in their eye, and that are like, you know, wearing it on their chest and inspiring other people. So
it's amazing, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's so powerful within itself, dude. Lean into it.
Yeah.
Like it's a matter of time, as long as you organically and authentically take care of this and cultivate it.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, it's hard telling what you can't do. You know?
Thanks, man.
That's so good.
It's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, that's another thing, dude. You have the Florida plug. So, like, dude, that's a lot of networking back and forth you could be doing as well. But,
And airports.
yeah. Yeah.
We'll get there.
Have you heard of this entrepreneur, Wallow? Wallow 267. You should look him up at some point.
Do you have a pen?
Yeah, I got you. Wallow 267. He is a entrepreneur, I guess you could call him, but at the same time, not really. This dude's doing it all. And the reason that I bring him up is because he has this company, Hotels and Airplanes, or Airplanes and Hotels. But he did, long story short about him, Wallow, he did 20 years in prison in the Philadelphia Penitentiary, State Penitentiary. And he got out, he went in when he was 16 and got out when he was 36. He's been out since 2017. So how many years is that? I forget how many years is that. I don't know. Basic math, like 7 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So he is in his young 40s, and he is now a cultural advisor with YouTube. He's partnered with Barstool. Him and his cousin Gilly, they call him Gilly the King, but Gilly, they have came together and built one of the biggest, it's called $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, one of the biggest podcasts. He goes back to penitentiaries and talks to the young kids and telling them, you know, the street life isn't worth it. Like, you know, once you get out, if you get a chance to get out, like elevate yourself, elevate your life,
cool.
You know, look out for yourself, your family and stuff like that. So Wallow 267.
All right, I'll check that out.
He's sick.
That reminds me of Johnny Cash and his like Folsom Prison Blues concert.
Yeah.
Do you know about that?
Of course.
Yeah. That's so cool to give back to inmates. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many of them deserve to be there, first of all? And then second thing, like, they're hopeless. They need hope.
Yeah. You got to give somebody hope, man. And like, I grew up in the hood and there was not a lot of good around a lot of my years. And so once I like got around my friends that are still some of my best friends up to this day, you know, I didn't get to introduce them until I was like 15, 16. That was when I picked up skating really heavily, and like, dude, we need that. You need some sort of like northern light is what I call it, you know?
I love that. Top of my bucket list is to see the Northern Lights.
Word.
I really want to see it.
I think that last year
They got into the Midwest somehow.
Yeah, last year I didn't see it though, but that'd be sick. You should just go up north
Yeah.
and experience it.
Do you remember the first time you skated, and like what kept you on a board all these years?
Yes, first time I skated, dude, I had to have been, I was in middle school. The first time I was introduced to skating, I was probably 8 or 9, probably 8 or 9. So I grew up off like 46 and Shadeland. And my elementary was like in the front of my neighborhood. And so I just would walk to and from school. And I remember once you got out of school, it was like the first house on the corner that had a half pipe in the backyard.
No way.
At the time, I thought it was a half pipe. It was probably a mini ramp, which is like lower, 3.5 feet. But half pipe to me, it looked like it was like 12 feet tall, right? Like this glorious Lords of Dogtown type of deal, And I saw it back there, and I was like, dude, I want to do that one day. And then some of my friends in the neighborhood, they got their first boards, and like I couldn't afford them. My mom was going to get me one. But I would like hop on their stuff when I would go over there, and we would take the off the chain link, the fence, the coping part, and they would just put it in the middle of the street. We would act like we're like grinding it and stuff like that, the little X Factor ramps that moved on you when you had just taken so many people's bones and stuff.
I remember those.
Dude, the worst.
Yeah. That scared me so much growing up.
Oh yeah, you had to like put a cinder block or like a brick up underneath so it didn't move.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like my first time. I was probably 8 or 9, and then after all these years, man, I think it's the pureness of it. There's a lot of times where like I'm listening to music to get through something, or I feel like I have to kind of grind through it. Skating's like the only thing in my life, honestly, to where I don't want any distractions. Like I'm such a purist with it. And I don't want music. I don't want headphones. I don't really want to be distracted when I'm at the skate parks.
Yeah.
When you're out in the streets, like filming and stuff, like it's a little bit different. But I'm super OCD and just purist with it. And I think that's the one thing that's kept me with it.
That's awesome.
And it was the one thing in high school after I started picking up sponsors. Like I ran track and did the whole varsity thing. But I was like, I can skate forever if I take care of myself. And like I stick with this, and I want to keep improving in my own way. I don't have to be the best skateboarder. And so the wonder of what skating could be for me kept me with it. And so now this year's 20 years.
That's amazing.
It's crazy, man. It's so insane.
That's cool.
But when I was 8 or 9, when I was introduced to it, I was kind of timid. I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I'm gonna look stupid. And then I think it was like my 7th grade year, I finally like took to it.
You mentioned taking care of yourself on a skateboard. Is there anything you can recommend to a new skateboarder of how to like keep your body intact?
Yeah. I mean, dude, and I deal with a lot of the young skaters. So like these dudes are 13, 14, 15, 16 and thinking that I'm like some gym bro with it. But I'm like, dude, take care of yourself. And even if you're not lifting weights, if you're just like stretching, stretch before you skate, stretch after you skate. And when you're young, you're not thinking that, because I was literally that kid. I was not stretching, I was just going to the skate park going crazy, trying to get tricks immediately as soon as I hopped in the park. But taking care of yourself, stretching, hopping in the gym if you can, move a little bit of weight around, do some hinge work. I really just started getting in this week into like the medicine balls and like wall balls.
I've seen your gym videos. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, man, just doing stuff like that is super important, because skating, it's all mobility. It's all mobility and explosiveness. So if you can mock that when you're not skating and get your mind to be trained that way and get that muscle memory, dude, that's going to carry into other things outside of skating too. So
that's huge.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Stuff like that.
All right. Want to show me the board?
Yeah.
While you're getting this together, I'm going to explain what happened. So last time I came in here, I brought him a board of mine. It's the Supreme Winter Chicken Dinner series. And I said, hey, man, I haven't skated on this in a couple years. I'm going to gift this to you for our interview, and I want you to pick out any of these decks, whatever screams the most me. So I'm excited to see what he's picking out.
Winter Chicken Dinner, the Supreme one. This was what,
2018?
I would say 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
It's a sick one.
I got it in the halls of my old high school. I remember spamming the button.
Oh, yeah. Thursday drop, man. So I was really, really looking, and I'm like, before we even talked about anything, I was like, I feel like for this dude to be all over, because before you even told me, you're like, I'm all over. I was like, he has to have some sense of wonder in him to be able to want to be a journalist and do what you're doing, you know what I mean, during the day. And so I was like, this one seems sick because
that's amazing.
It's acrylic cloud. And for me, I'm like always looking at the sky, and I'm like, that's where the wonder comes from, things that are like unknown. So I think this one's good.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, of
course.
That's
so cool.
Of course, man. So I think this one's a good one.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, the clouds.
So frequently, I mean, as a kid, I was always staring up at the sky, just like, and then someone would go, Matthew. Sorry.
Yeah, get back to it.
So
yeah,
you already know me better than I think you do.
Yeah, dude.
That's really cool.
I was really looking at a lot of them, and I'm like, dude, this one just makes sense.
Yeah.
That's like perfect. And I literally just got that in yesterday, so I'm like,
That's beautiful.
that
Thank
makes
you,
sense.
man.
Of course.
That's such a good gift.
Hell yeah.
That's a pretty color too.
And the top, dude. Yeah. Casper Brooker, he's the pro for Baker.
That's nice.
But yeah, man. I hope you like it.
Thank you so much. That means a ton.
Of course.
Hope you like that deck. I don't know what you're gonna do with it, but
Keep it.
it's funny.
This is.
I wish it wasn't
insane.
used, but I thought it was still a good gift.
Still,
It's
dude.
a great conversation piece.
So good. People
It's
be like,
hilarious.
"Oh, Supreme, yeah, it's a full." That's like a. Have you seen that restaurant? It's off of College, like 71st or 75th in College, Holly Hawk Hill.
Yes,
Like
that's
the
one of
type
my
food.
family favorites.
Oh yeah, it's so good. That's
That's
like
it.
the type of food that
With
they
like
serve.
the mint jelly and the ice cream. Have you ever like been there?
I haven't been there, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm gonna get you in there sometime.
Dude, super
That's
good.
fantastic.
Yeah, man. Of course, I'm hyped.
Last two questions I got for you. Book recommendation. What's a book that just blew your mind and helped you a lot?
Super into David Goggins. Love that dude.
What's it? Can't Hurt Me?
Yeah, Can't Hurt Me. And then he had another one. He just had his second one come out. But the first one, I did the audio book, and so
Same.
Did you? Yeah, dude. When I was building this shop, because we had to put the flooring, I like pretty much gutted it and redid it.
Yeah.
I had that in, and I was just like so fired up to get this business going and like get it going properly. And so that one carried me through. So that one's really, really good.
That's sweet.
Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. And then there's another one. I haven't started it, but I read the thesis on it. Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yeah,
at all.
he
Gary V, man.
Gary V. I'm familiar, but not too familiar.
Dude, he's so sick.
Yeah, he's huge on sales. I forget like his main tagline, but
Entrepreneurship and just doing things that are fucking fun
Yeah.
to you and like making your passion. I mean, it may not be your main source of income, but like doing that, you know. Spacing the name of it. Look it up. I haven't started it yet, but that's my next one. And then I have another one as well.
Good.
Let's see. So, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's another one.
I've read that.
Super good.
Amazing.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Gives you perspective.
Yeah, man.
Almost like there's no excuse for you not to
Make
take
it
off.
happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen, man. Crushing it. That's the Gary Vaynerchuk Crushing It one.
Okay.
So that's a really, really good one. The Alchemist, I grew up reading.
That's my favorite. That's the one I've been talking about this week.
So good.
It changed my mind.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in Chicago in the middle of that winter,
Yeah.
reading it at my apartment.
Wow.
And that's what finally grew that ember into a little bit more of a flame. And
Yeah.
I was like, I got to get out of this warehouse job.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially being in Chicago, dude. Fuck yeah, it can feel like a trap if you
Yeah.
feel like you're meant for more. Yeah, Alchemist. And then there is another book that I'm really, really interested in that I feel like's good. So Big Sean, he's a
rapper?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Big Sean. He just wrote his own book, and I haven't started it yet.
I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of rappers writing books.
No.
I read Russ's.
Is it good?
It was good. It was
it
quick,
good?
which made me like it more.
Yeah. I fucking listened to Rick Ross's audio. It's pretty good.
Oh.
The Perfect Day to Boss Up. I listened to that one.
That's
all the
cool.
way through, and it was pretty good. It was a lot of his stories.
I love Rick
and
Ross.
perspectives. But yeah, I mean he's literally a boss, dude. He's like built himself up from nothing. Dude, that'll be my last one. Oh. The Man the Moment Demands.
I'm unfamiliar.
So that's my next one.
Gotcha.
It sucks because like when I'm out biking, I do a lot of cycling too, or like when I'm working out, I always want to listen to music and
Yeah.
not the books. So it's really hard for me to find the proper time to.
It was a conscious decision for me. I had to like rivet myself out of music to start listening to
Yeah.
books, and then
Yeah.
it was a good choice because I got through a lot of them. There was second to last thing. There was a saying you said earlier, and I was like, we should say that during the.
Oh, dude, I'm so cooked. What were we talking about? What led up to
I
that?
don't know. We were standing over here, and I was like, make sure you say that.
I know I remember, but I can't remember what I said.
That's fine.
There's a couple of them.
I'll just move on.
Yeah,
He's got sayings.
we got some. We got.
That's
I have a
awesome.
whole list of them.
Last thing I asked you to do is an elevator pitch to inspire anyone who's watching. Why skating? Why to follow some of the things you've said today? Just open-ended to inspire.
Sick. Like why skating for me, or
Yeah.
like why just Skating.
However you want to take this.
I mean, for me, dude, I feel like I always felt like as a kid, I was meant for something greater, and I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
At the time, I could never even begin to articulate it. So once again, I just followed that like northern light, even when I actually didn't even know that I was following it.
Yeah.
You know, like my soul was just aligned with it. And so skating, and I'm really big on God too.
Same.
Skating and God really, that's like my bread and butter, man. Like it's like enough inspiration for me to keep going so that I can inspire the youth. And I really think it's like in skating with the young kids, I think not getting distracted and not losing interest and really pushing yourself to be good at something, because skating is going to teach you something that school and college and your regular 9-to-5 isn't going to teach you. And it helps sculpt you as a person and calluses your mind.
Yeah.
And so, like, dude, everything that I learned from like 15 to 20, like I'll carry that for the rest of my life. That was my foundation.
It's huge.
Of being a man. And then moving, I mean, I just started getting back into church the last year or so. But like moving towards God spiritually has been like a really big life changer for me too, and giving him all the glory, you know. And so yeah, those are my two main things. I really think having a spiritual structure is really important, and then using the gifts God's blessed you with. You know,
It's one thing to hear the call. It's another thing to answer it.
of course.
It's cool to see you walking the walk, man.
Thank you, man.
All right,
I appreciate
let's call
you.
it there. Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That was a pleasure. That was
Got to
sick.
show this. Woo! That's so.
Head in the clouds.
So awesome.
That's a good one.
That was fun, man.
Dude,
that was really
good.
natural.
That was so sick, dude.